also does solo videos about culture, and Wyatt is the founder of Roundtable Decision, and I am the host of the daily Ignoramus, Call Me Ignorant. All of us are content contributors to FreedomScoop.com. Welcome to Call Me Ignorant, everybody, all you gentlemen. Thanks for coming on the show. Now that it's not my show, it's someone else's show, right?
Right.
On my
Thanks for coming to everyone else's show.
Yeah,
Exactly.
thanks for coming to your guys' channel. So yeah, we stopped streaming on my channel a second ago because of internet issues. But I figured we could just talk a lot tonight. There's a lot of people, so it's going to be kind of a shit show. But
Yeah.
What I figured we could do first of all is just kind of go in an order designated by me, and talk about how we got into the internet. And each of us have our own channel and platform, whatever. But let's start with Jake. And why don't you introduce FreedomScoop.com and why you started it, what it is, all those things.
Hey, before we get...
All right, so we are people who make stuff. That's pretty much the American dream, is make something and make it work and make it good. Or make it cheap or make it easy. Now we're just talking about hookers. I can't remember. So I'm hoping that we can get some of these content contributors like yourself, like the Generational Gap, like Edgar. I've been building this for a little while now. Wyatt's written a couple articles. He's got his YouTube going on there. And, it's just to kind of build an independent platform, not strapped down by any sort of big money sources. We can't be, like you're telling me that Robert can be bought. That's not going to happen. And so we're looking to build a platform with people who are independent, who can say what they need to say. Kind of America, for America, by America. I mean, none of us are jet-setting, Soros-funded people. We are all independent. We all do what we want to do. And that's kind of what the whole root of the problem is right here. We all are doing what we want to do.
Sweet. Did you do what you did a website before Freedom Scoop, right?
Yeah. So I ran the Daily Jake for a few years. It was a moderately successful platform. I mean, we had, I'm going to say 200,000 to 300,000 hits in about a 12-month period. I mean, and that ran for a little while. And before that, I've done media. I've done media for a couple of national and local campaigns. Most of you guys know me just from heckling everybody here on Freedom Scoop, because I jump on with the Generational Gap and I jump on with Edgar and just harass him from time to time. I mean, why not? There's nothing better to do. So, and they're fantastic people. So that's where most of you guys know me from. I have worked with people in the national and local news. I worked with 3 different guys who worked with Fox News. I wrote a couple articles for the Spokesman Review. For a little bit. And I've written for a couple of national publications as well as local publications, but I don't write anymore because I'm allergic to penmanship.
Sweet, man. Well, thanks for the introduction. Let's move over to Edgar now. So, Edgar, you got your own channel and you just started streaming as well. But what are your goals? How did you get into this mess, and what are your goals for your channel?
Well, I started out on my channel just because I was listening to people like the Daily Wire. I was listening to people like Limbaugh, and I kept hearing these people, these voices that have a lot of big corporate backing behind them. I have actually been writing politically since I was about 15 years old. I wrote my first political article back then, and I gave my first political speech when I was 15 as well. So this has been something that's been a part of my life for a while, and I started to realize, I fell out of it for a little while, but I started to realize again that my views on the world and individual liberty haven't changed, but the political parties and the political people that carried them have changed. I used to be a very staunch Democrat because I thought that was the party of liberty. And, as I've grown older, I've seen more authoritarianism out of there. And I've seen more people on the right side start to advocate for more freedom, and more people on the left say, hey, we just want to take all of your money and then give you back what we think it takes to live on. In essence, I write about what I see. I put it back into video format after seeing a man from Montana in a flannel shirt was making solo videos as well, and realized that he wasn't saying the same things I was saying, but he was doing the same style kind of thing as I was writing on a blog, but he was reaching a completely different audience, and I wanted to take some part in that audience. I do still look forward to writing sometimes, but with a full-time job and a channel, doing the podcast and a solo video every week, it gets draining. I don't necessarily get a chance to write anymore as much as I would like to, but that's how I fell into it.
And he's allergic to penmanship.
I am not allergic to penmanship anymore because I joined the fountain pen club.
There's a club for fountain pens?
Absolutely.
Carry
There's
on.
a club for everything.
I mean, most people who have been with my channel since the beginning know where I started politically and societally. My best friend was about to be lynched by the entire school for saying something that he didn't even say. And I had to stand up and defend him because it was individual liberty versus the mob. And, it started from there, and now we're here.
Nice, man. Didn't you get into doing your channel right after the Parkland shooting?
Yes, when I first got the video camera and the microphone, it was immediately after I had actually bought a microphone before, but I couldn't get it to sync up or do anything at all. So by the time I got everything to work, Parkland had legitimately just happened, which was perfect, given the background that started me into politics.
Wow. Cool, man. So let's move over to the generational gap now. I figure we start with John because John does the announcements for the show, and I always thought it was funny that Robert, you act like you're always surprised that John needs to do the announcements, like because you say John, why don't you tell me about what's going on? But you know what's going on.
Actually,
That's the show.
a lot of the times he does.
There's a very good possibility I have forgotten from one show to the next. I'm not gonna lie.
And not only that, he'll find out about guests at the same time the audience does a lot of the time.
Very often.
Yeah.
So John, what is the generational gap and how did it start?
Well, generational gap, as our little description says, it's a meeting of two minds. One is a reactionary Gen Xer. The other one's a rational and beautiful beard, millennial.
Ad lib.
And a little bit ad lib there. But it got started because I wanted to do a podcast for several years now. And my original idea was to do like a history style podcast where I would once a week put out, some kind of major, thing about some event in history or some, war or something like that. But I could just never really put the pieces together. And then I met Robert through his cousin, who's my roommate. And so we would have a lot of like really long and deep political discussions. And we would argue pretty often. And then, as we still do. And we kind of developed this bickering style relationship. Like people who've been around each other for a long time and they'll just kind of bicker at each other and banter. And I thought that would be fun to bring online, So I approached him one day with the idea, and he was in. So the rest is history.
And so Robert, has there anything changed drastically since the beginning of the show, or do you have any kind of goals for the show going forward that you want to see happen?
Well, I think that we've evolved somewhat. I think both of us have, we've both shifted in our views somewhat. Me more so, I think I've shifted more right than I ever intended to, but I was already on that on that slide, as it were. But yeah, I want to see us. I love bringing on other podcasters. I like this idea that we're working with here with FreedomScoop, where we have a bunch of individuals. I mean, amongst us, there's a lot of disagreement, but there's a lot of agreement. But the main thing is the understanding that these discussions need to be had, and building a deeper network amongst other new media like this is going to strengthen new media and make it more of a source of real information, that speaks to the American people as opposed to the mainstream media that is speaking to an agenda. That's the hope that I have for it. That's what I hope new media becomes, and I want to be a strong part of that. And, you know, deep down, I hope FreedomScoop is the vehicle by which we can reach that end.
Well said.
Absolutely.
Somebody soundbite that. Oh, and by the way,
Yeah.
I may not be able to be bought, but to counter that, I don't know that I've ever heard the right offer either.
Yeah, we've got a couple of people in the chat here. We got Michael Vega, Seawall, the artist showed up, which is cool. Now Steven's gone. Jersey Linda's in the house. Awesome. And yeah, now our host is gone. So that's pretty awesome.
Jersey Linda.
There he
He's
is.
back.
Jersey Linda. There he is. Is he moving? He's moving. He's moving. He's real. He's live.
Ooh.
He's a real boy.
Woo. I'm trying to just send out a thing on InstaChat, but I don't do that.
Instant Is that like a Delmac?
Sorry.
It's kind of like my millennium boomer speak, because I'm kind of like a millennium
I
boomer.
don't know.
Like a Wii Box 2?
Yeah, there you go. What's a Wii box? What's a Wii?
It's pretty
I used to have a Wii.
shitty.
Hey, Steven, let's talk about Wiis. When was the last time you played one?
Oh, man.
You know, that's like the best-selling game console of all time, and nobody knows it.
Yeah. It was
Yeah.
very popular.
It is. So,
Is Stephen
All right.
actually there?
I don't know.
Yeah,
We
can you
stopped
hear us,
moving.
Steven?
I don't know if Stephen can hear. Can you hear us, Stephen?
is Steven alive?
I don't think he can
Steven?
hear
I
us.
think he's screwing with us.
Steven!
Steven!
Oh, he's
Are you
gone.
there, Steven?
Steven!
Where are you, Steven? We need you for the chat!
Oh, man.
All right, I've almost got a post ready for the InstaChat. Next.
Jesus.
The
Save the
Insta
picture. I don't know. It's like Twitter, but it's not. You post pictures on it.
So
like,
it's somewhere between Instagram and Snapchat, and
You know what? I believe that's what it actually is. It's Instagram. All right. So, all right. Steven, quit messaging me.
yeah,
All right,
Steven,
next.
Steven said,
He
hey,
wa-
sorry, guys.
he wants to be your friend. So, you know, in the interim, while we're waiting on Stephen to get back, because I'm assuming, and I am probably
he's
right
there,
about
but-
this. The next thing,
Get your hopes up.
yeah, it doesn't sound like he can hear us though. He's lost us on audio.
He's like feigning hanging himself, it looks like.
So
It's just-
Epstein style.
Oh,
Lean
no.
forward.
So I would say that
Too early.
the next thing that he was going to move on to was reaching up to Wyatt and reaching
yeah,
out to Wyatt.
we'll let Wyatt
and
answer the same question.
so Wyatt, same thing to you. If you can give everybody an idea of how you got to the point where you're at and where you're going and what you're hoping for from your life in new media.
Yeah, so I've been on all of your channels actually, and I've kind of told the story multiple times. But the project, it was a project really at the start from a school. My school had this called a CAST project, which essentially was like community service type of oriented, and you had to do something long term. And I decided that I would do something YouTube related. So originally the content was supposed to be more like broader subjects like mental health or philosophy, you know, those type of notions, and not really be too political. But since I followed politics and I'm always interested in politics, I tried to push the boundaries a little bit with what they would allow. And I did that a lot with like the questions of the days I've done before. And as of now, they're a little bit random. I'm trying to get more consistent with that, but so the channel as a whole was originally projects to talk about more philosophy and, you know, broader subjects like I mentioned, and now I've kind of turned it into more talking about like politics. I want to go back to like mental health and philosophy a little bit too, because I do like those topics and I think they need to be talked about more, especially mental health. And I'm in the middle of writing a article for FreedomScoop, and I hope to finish it today. Even though my original goal was to finish it the day before, but the power went out for a couple of hours. That didn't happen. Lucky me. I think there was a lot of karma what goes into that.